The Zalori Empire had conquered 43 civilizations in less than 2 centuries. Entire species vanished the moment their worlds resisted taxation, military occupation, or genetic extraction. To the Empire, war was no longer conflict. It was industry. Efficient. Predictable. Controlled. So when long-range scouts discovered Earth hidden inside an isolated yellow star system near the edge of map space, nobody expected danger. The planet looked fractured. Primitive. Thousands of governments. Internal wars. Outdated kinetic weapons. Atmospheric aircraft still dependent on combustion systems. No visible planetary shield. No unified fleet presence beyond a handful of orbital stations. The Empire's military analysts estimated humanity would collapse within 6 days of direct invasion. The hunting cast saw something else. Entertainment. Humans possessed unusual physical traits compared to most galactic species. Dense musculature. High pain tolerance. Aggression hormones. Predator vision. Endurance adaptation. The Empire classified them as biologically valuable prey stock suitable for elite hunting rituals. Permission for covert harvesting was approved immediately. The disappearances began quietly. A research station vanished in Antarctica during a whiteout storm. A cargo ship crossing the Pacific transmitted screams before all communication stopped. Miners working beneath the lunar surface disappeared from sealed tunnels with no signs of forced entry. Entire villages in isolated mountain regions were erased overnight. Earth authorities blamed terrorism, accidents, even mass hallucinations. The truth never reached the public. Black triangular vessels entered Earth's atmosphere undetected, extracting humans for sport, experimentation, and live combat trials aboard orbiting hunter ships. At first, everything proceeded normally. Then the hunter teams stopped reporting back. One extraction cruiser near Saturn vanished with 200 armed personnel aboard. Another drifted back into monitored space completely powered down. Recovery crews entered the vessel expecting sabotage. They found corridors painted in blood. Armor torn apart from the inside. No bodies. No survivors. No signs of boarding. Only deep claw-like scoring across the walls and one repeated symbol carved into metal doors using enough force to penetrate military-grade alloy. The symbol matched nothing in modern galactic databases. Imperial commanders dismissed the incidents as human resistance anomalies. Primitive species occasionally reacted unpredictably under captivity stress. More hunters were deployed. More ships disappeared. Soon the losses became impossible to ignore. Tracking systems malfunctioned specifically near Earth's orbit. Advanced drones lost navigation and crashed without explanation. Surveillance satellites captured impossible readings beneath Earth's oceans and polar regions before transmissions abruptly cut out. Then an Imperial archivist accessed restricted historical fragments buried beneath erased galactic records. Most files had been intentionally destroyed millions of years earlier. Entire sections of interstellar history were missing. Species names removed. Coordinates deleted. Military references blacked out beyond recovery. But one warning appeared repeatedly across surviving fragments. Do not provoke Earth. Another corrupted archive contained a phrase translated from a dead precursor language. The Eternal Hunt. The archivist brought the findings before the Imperial Council expecting immediate quarantine orders. Instead, the chamber erupted in laughter. The Empire ruled half the galaxy. Their fleets sterilized planets. Their hunters wiped out apex species for ceremonial sport. The idea that a divided primitive world could threaten them sounded absurd. The Council declared the warnings mythological fear propaganda created by extinct civilizations. Harvest operations expanded. Hundreds more humans were taken. Then a live transmission arrived from a biological research vessel orbiting beyond Mars. Scientists had begun invasive experimentation on captured humans when internal alarms triggered across the ship simultaneously. Security footage showed every holding chamber opening at once despite no system breach. The feed became chaotic. Gunfire. Screaming. Dark corridors flooded with emergency lights. Something moved through the ship faster than scanners could track. One alien researcher locked himself inside a laboratory and activated an emergency transmission to command before the door behind him slowly bent inward. Not exploded. Bent. As though something on the other side was forcing reinforced metal apart with raw strength. The terrified scientist kept repeating the same sentence while looking at the security monitor. "They're not behaving like prey." The door finally ripped open. The transmission cut to static. Hours later, escape pods recovered from the drifting vessel revealed only one surviving captive human. Severely wounded. Barely conscious. An interrogator demanded to know what happened aboard the ship. The human looked directly into the camera. And smiled. "You should have left us asleep." The losses around Earth escalated beyond military projections within weeks. Hunter fleets disappeared without combat logs. Orbital outposts stopped transmitting mid-sentence. Recovery teams sent to investigate returned either insane or not at all. One surveillance station near Jupiter transmitted 12 seconds of corrupted footage before vanishing from radar entirely. Analysts restored fragments of the recording frame by frame. The station's armored corridors were covered in bodies. Not human bodies. Zalori soldiers. Their weapons remained untouched beside them, meaning they died before firing. Security doors designed to survive plasma bombardment had been torn apart manually. The final frame showed a dark silhouette moving toward the camera before the feed ended permanently. Panic spread through the Empire's military command for the first time in centuries. The Imperial Council ordered access to restricted archives buried beneath the oldest galactic vaults. Entire sectors of historical data required genetic authorization from bloodlines thought extinct. Ancient records hidden beneath collapsed empires slowly resurfaced. What they uncovered shattered everything the galaxy believed about humanity. Millions of years earlier, before modern civilizations unified trade routes or colonized deep space, humanity had already spread across the stars. Not as diplomats. Not as explorers. As hunters. Human military doctrine during that era centered around one principle: absolute pursuit. Humans specialized in wars of extinction. They did not negotiate with hostile species. They studied weaknesses, adapted faster than opponents could react, and pursued targets across generations if necessary. One archive described human fleets following an enemy civilization beyond known space for over 2 centuries simply to ensure no survivors rebuilt. Another record translated humanity's ancient classification among precursor races. The species that does not stop. The deeper the historians searched, the worse the truth became. Humans evolved under conditions most intelligent life would never survive. High gravity. Constant predation. Violent climate shifts. Disease. Scarcity. Tribal warfare. Every stage of human evolution rewarded aggression, endurance, and adaptation. Other species developed intelligence after achieving stability. Humans developed intelligence while surviving hell. That made them different. That made them dangerous. Eventually, humanity turned its violence inward. Ancient wars between human factions devastated entire systems. Several precursor alliances attempted extermination campaigns against them and failed catastrophically. The survivors chose another solution. Earth was isolated. Human memory was genetically suppressed over thousands of generations. Their advanced technologies were dismantled or buried beneath oceans, mountains, and ice. Galactic history erased every major reference to humanity until only fragments remained. The quarantine had never protected Earth from outsiders. It protected outsiders from Earth. Inside Imperial command chambers, silence replaced arrogance. Meanwhile, Earth itself was changing. Hidden facilities buried beneath deserts activated automatically after remaining dormant for thousands of years. Deep beneath Arctic ice, sealed bunkers unlocked without human input. Satellites older than recorded civilization emerged from ocean trenches and entered orbit broadcasting encrypted signals across the planet. Governments denied everything publicly while secretly losing control. Military networks received authorization codes predating every modern nation. Nuclear submarines detected impossible structures moving beneath the Pacific Ocean. Retired soldiers, intelligence operatives, and black-budget scientists vanished from secure locations overnight. Then came the vault beneath Mongolia. A classified excavation team uncovered a chamber sealed long before human history began. Inside stood rows of preserved armored soldiers connected to ancient life support systems still functioning after millennia. Above them was engraved a warning in every known human language. If the hunt returns, wake us. The final archive recovered by the Zalori Empire explained the meaning of the phrase repeated throughout Forbidden History. The eternal hunt was not a religion. Not mythology. Not military propaganda. It was humanity's oldest law. If another species hunted humans as prey, humanity responded with extinction. No treaties. No surrender. No end until the threat disappeared permanently. For the first time in Imperial history, the ruling council understood the scale of their mistake. They were no longer studying primitive prey. They had awakened a species specifically engineered by evolution for endless war. And somewhere in the darkness beyond Earth, humanity had already begun tracking them. The Zalori Empire chose war before humanity could fully awaken. More than 8,000 Imperial warships entered the Sol system simultaneously. Planet-killer cruisers surrounded Earth while carrier formations deployed across Mars, Luna, and the outer colonies. The Empire intended to erase humanity before the species remembered what it once was. The invasion lasted 11 minutes before the first fleet disappeared. Without warning, massive energy signatures erupted beneath Earth's oceans. Ancient orbital weapons hidden for millennia activated automatically and fired through the invading armada. Entire battleships vanished in white-hot flashes before shields could respond. Then Luna opened. Buried beneath the moon's surface, colossal defense platforms emerged from underground chambers older than human civilization itself. Rail cannons accelerated tungsten projectiles at relativistic speeds, punching through Zalori capital ships like paper. The Empire's command network collapsed almost immediately. Human cyber warfare infiltrated alien systems using forgotten protocols embedded inside precursor technology. Navigation failed. Targeting systems reversed. Communication channels flooded with corrupted military recordings from extinct civilizations screaming warnings in dozens of dead languages. The transmissions repeated one sentence endlessly. Run! That was when the hunters arrived. Ships hidden inside asteroid belts powered online across the system. Black war vessels with known national markings emerged from stealth fields surrounding Saturn and Neptune. Their designs matched no modern human technology because they were not modern. They were ancient. Some had waited in silence for thousands of years. Cryogenic vaults opened across Earth. Soldiers engineered for extreme warfare woke from suspended animation carrying weapons designed during humanity's forgotten age. Many had fought wars before the Zalori species evolved intelligence. Unlike Imperial armies built around order and efficiency, human tactics looked chaotic. That made them lethal. Humans sabotaged supply chains instead of attacking strongholds first. They targeted fuel reserves, food shipments, communication hubs, medical stations, and navigation relays. Entire invasion groups died stranded in deep space without firing a shot. When direct combat happened, the psychological effect became even worse. Human soldiers fought through injuries that should have killed them. Boarding parties continued attacking after losing limbs. Small squads infiltrated capital ships and eliminated crews hundreds of times their size through relentless close-quarters combat. Captured Zalori footage spread panic across the Empire. One recording showed a wounded human marine dragging himself through burning corridors after sustaining catastrophic injuries. Internal sensors confirmed multiple organ failures. The human kept advancing anyway. He eliminated 32 armed soldiers before dying. Another transmission recovered from a destroyed cruiser captured the final moments of an Imperial commander watching humans breach the bridge. They aren't retreating. The officer's voice shook violently. They're enjoying this. Fear spread faster than the war itself. Human fleets moved beyond the Sol system within days. Ancient jump gates hidden across forgotten sectors suddenly activated, allowing rapid strikes deep inside Imperial territory. Colonies once thought untouchable went dark overnight. Shipyards exploded without warning. Military governors vanished from secure compounds. Entire moons lost contact permanently. The Zalori Empire had spent centuries conquering weaker civilizations through overwhelming force. Humanity attacked differently. Every strike carried a message. No sanctuary. No escape. No mercy for hunters. As the war escalated, alien civilians began fleeing core worlds ahead of advancing human fleets. Refugee channels became flooded with eyewitness accounts describing silent black ships emerging from hyperspace without detection before entire defense networks collapsed. Some worlds surrendered immediately upon identifying human signatures in orbit. It changed nothing. Humanity was no longer fighting defensively. The eternal hunt had begun. For the first time in recorded galactic history, the Zalori Empire experienced extinction-level fear. Not fear of losing territory. Not fear of military defeat. Fear of being hunted by something that would never stop coming. Inside the Imperial throne chamber, surrounded by collapsing star maps and emergency casualty reports, the Emperor finally spoke the truth none of them wanted to admit. "We did not invade a weak species." His voice barely held together as more systems disappeared from the galactic network. "We woke a sleeping predator." The Zalori Empire fractured faster than any conquered civilization in recorded history. Entire star clusters went dark as human task forces moved beyond defensive operations and began systematic eradication campaigns. What had started as an imperial invasion of a single primitive world had transformed into a galaxy-wide extinction response from a species the Empire barely understood. Command structures collapsed first. High-ranking governors abandoned fortified systems when human strike fleets appeared without warning inside secured space lanes. Defensive grids designed to withstand supernova-level assaults were bypassed through forgotten jump corridors the Empire never knew existed. Humanity was not pushing forward randomly. They were following something. A pattern. A doctrine older than Imperial civilization itself. Every Zalori stronghold that fell revealed the same structure: disable infrastructure, isolate leadership, eliminate recovery capability, then erase reinforcement routes completely. No prolonged occupation. No negotiation. No symbolic victories. Only removal. Survivors began reporting the same phenomenon across unrelated systems. Human fleets did not behave like invaders. They behaved like predators tracking prey that had already been marked. Refugee transmissions from collapsing sectors painted a consistent picture: silent black vessels arriving without signature, disabling planetary defenses in seconds, then withdrawing before counterattacks could even lock coordinates. Entire defense networks would fail simultaneously, as if the galaxy itself was rejecting Imperial control. The Zalori Council attempted a final defensive doctrine shift, ordering total planetary lockdown across all remaining core worlds. It was already too late. Humanity had stopped reacting. They had started concluding. One by one, Imperial archives were breached. Not through brute force, but through inherited access protocols buried in systems older than the Empire itself. Humanity was not hacking into Zalori infrastructure. They were unlocking it. Because parts of it had once been theirs. Deep within recovered data fragments, historians finally understood the structure behind the devastation. Humanity was not merely retaliating for recent attacks. They were resolving a historical condition. Every surviving human command node began referencing something called continuity targets. These were not strategic objectives in the traditional sense. They were remnants of species that had once participated in or enabled early attempts to control or contain humanity during ancient eras. The Empire was not the first, just the latest. As Imperial resistance weakened, something far more disturbing emerged from intercepted human communications. There was no anger in their transmissions. No chaos. Only precision. The language of completion. Zalori homeworlds began falling without warning. Defense fleets never engaged. They simply stopped existing between transmission intervals. Entire populations were evacuated by their own governments before human arrival signals were even confirmed. Fear no longer spread through panic. It spread through certainty. That humanity already knew every outcome. The last surviving Imperial Advisory Council attempted one final broadcast to all human channels across known space. They offered surrender, resource redistribution, technological exchange, anything to end the advance. The transmission was received and answered. Not by a leader, not by a government, but by a unified human response network that had not spoken until now. The message contained only a single line. You did not start a war. There was a pause long enough for entire systems to fall silent. You continue to hunt. Moments later, the final Zalori capital system entered collapse. No alarms. No resistance. No survivors reporting after contact. Only empty space where an empire had been. Across the galaxy, every remaining civilization recorded the same final directive echoing through deep space channels once used by Imperial command networks. It was not a warning. It was a reminder. Don't attack the humans. The eternal hunt was always real. And for the first time since the Empire's rise, the galaxy understood the final truth too late. They were never dealing with a new power. They were being measured by an old one returning to finish what it once began.